In this video, we're going to do a follow-up on the RV Miles story of them getting kicked out of an RV park for receiving a package. There's another side of the story from someone from the campground, and then we have RV Miles' rebuttal. We're then going to talk about enjoy the journey lives being harassed at an RV park where they are at. And then at the end, I'm going to tell you what I think of the whole mess. So stick around. When it comes to the RV community, we are often met with stories of how convenient it is to sell everything and leave your home and go RVing for the easy life of leisure. Well, today, we're going to talk about two things that didn't go so smoothly. We're going to talk about chaos in the campground. Now, the first story is of RV Miles. They were in a campground and ordered a computer. The computer was delivered, but turned away by the office staff. The courier contacted Miles and said that he would wait outside of the gate if he wanted to come out and pick up his package. Miles did exactly that. They went out past the gates of the campground, where they met with the courier, picked up the package, and went about their day. They went on and they ran some errands. Upon return to the campground, they were met with an email stating they had broken the rules and they had to leave the campground.
I ordered a FedEx package here, and I looked through the rules on the website and they were not there, so whatever. I ordered a package here. Had I known they don't receive packages, no reason in the world I would have had it sent. But I did, and they rejected it. Fine. That's their prerogative to do. So the FedEx guy calls me when he's outside the gate at the campground, and he says, hey, look, this campground won't receive this package. They say they don't allow people staying to receive packages, and they want us to send it back. But I figured, hey, we'll just drive outside the gate here, and I'll give it to you there. Fine. So I go get it. I go get the package, and then we go out for the day. Then we come back, and I have an email in my inbox that says, you must leave tomorrow by 1 o'clock, or else we'll call the police. And if you can't laugh at this, I don't know what you could laugh at.
So after receiving the email, of course, one would naturally want to go to the office and see what was up. So they did that. They went to the office to ask the guy, said, hey, if you came to me, I guess I think we could have worked something out. I didn't see the thing. I'm sorry. It's not that big of a deal. And then I guess RV Miles' neighbor that was camping next door came in, and he was a little heated. Apparently not like over the top, but he was a little angered about the whole situation. And that's when it kind of turned and said, yeah, okay. And then the office called the police and said, you have got to go. RV Miles then goes on to say that he spoke to some other folks in the campground. There was one lady who had said that, yeah, she's been there a couple months and there's been 3 or 4 people removed from the campground in the short period of time that she had been there. So everything that they've been hearing is this is not anything new. This is pretty much a normal occurrence. So under the watchful eye of the county sheriff, RV Miles and the neighbor are packing up their RVs and they are getting ready to leave. Now apparently they have parking passes as often as they do. You put on your mirror or on your dashboard or somewhere in your window to let everyone know that, yes, you are authorized to be in the park and you went through the proper channels and so on and so forth. Upon leaving the RV park, they stopped and turned in their little badges, and the police escorted them outside and they went about their merry way. And that is where we think the story ends. The video got lots of traction. I think the story even got picked up by mainstream media as well as social media, and everything went crazy. The views on the video blew up, and yeah, there we go. They went to the RV park. They ordered a package. which broke the rules, and they got thrown out. But here's where it gets interesting. There's a channel called RV Show USA. Now, this guy has a kind of, I guess, like a podcast or a radio show or whatever it is, but he talks to all kinds of RV people, and he talks about RV issues, so he's heavily into the RV world. He got a hold of the people at the campground. He didn't talk to the owner or the person, the manager in the office, but he did get directed to someone who was there and said that they saw the entire thing. So we don't just have the RV Miles account of the incident. We have an onlooker who said he saw the whole thing from beginning to end.
Like you, I was shocked to watch the initial video. I'm like, God, this is crazy. But the journalist in me said, you know what? There has to be another side, and there is. So here is my conversation with an eyewitness. He is not an employee of the campground. He is not the owner of the campground. I want you to just listen to this story. Listen to him. And then decide for yourself what the real truth is behind this couple that says that they were kicked out of the campground just for receiving a FedEx package.
So this guy claims that the kids were wild. First of all, he starts off with the kids. He talks a lot about them, how they were running around doing stuff, causing chaos. So it wasn't just a package, according to this onlooker.
But their kids were pretty unruly, but kids can be kids. Well, unfortunately, in most campgrounds, most of the people in campgrounds are older. They're done raising their family, and they don't want kids running through their yards and screaming and hollering and doing those types of things. So a couple of complaints were registered with the management about the kids trampling through their yards all time of day and night.
He also states that the rule about not accepting packages is there for a reason. He says about Colorado that they have a rule that if you get mail, then you're considered like a resident, and it's harder to evict people. So that's why they don't do that. The other thing is that the rule, when you call in to make a reservation, you're advised of this rule. When you check in, you're again advised of the rule. And when you're handed your pack of papers with everything to sign and all that, it's on there too. So he says that the rule is there, and you have 3 opportunities to catch the rule. He also states that cooler heads should have and could have prevailed, and this whole situation would and could have been avoided, but the travel companion, friend, neighbor, whatever RV Miles refers to this other gentleman as, according to this onlooker, the witness, as I will call him, the other guy, he is the one who caused most of the problems. He was irate, he was angry, and he's the one that pushed things over the edge.
Isn't there some way we can work this out? Well, about that time, his buddy gets involved. Had his buddy not gotten involved, I truly believe that Tom would have said, okay, you know, you had a situation with the kids and now the package. Can't you get your shit together, dude? Yeah, you're only going to be here another 3 days, so it'll be fine. But the other dude gets involved, and I heard this language, by the way. He starts screaming at the top of his lungs, MF this, you SOB, F-word, F-bombs are going off everywhere in front of all of the kids out there.
And hang on just a second. So the guy that's doing the cussing and the yelling, is he just happen to be a neighbor of the guy that did the video, or are they friends, or do you know?
No, they were both traveling. They were traveling together.
Oh.
Now our witness, he also tells of a story about, I guess, the other guy and the manager or whatever he is of the park having a conversation before, maybe a day or so before, about hunting and some other things. So that brought attention to things. If this guy's a full-time RVer, that means if he's a hunter and he's going hunting and he lives full-time in his RV, he has guns with him. What this has to do with it, I don't know, but the guy decided, our witness, he decided he was going to tell us all about that. I guess with the guy's anger and the way he was going off the handle, using abusive language, and he even said something about grabbing and spitting on the guy. So with all this happening and the knowledge or the assumption that there was guns in the RV, I guess this heightened the campground awareness and added to the situation. I guess, and that's why the cops were called, part of it anyway. And this whole thing escalated to a point where it just couldn't be remedied. Now our onlooker, he also said that they took far too long to pack up their things and get out of the camp. He said that he could have got out of there in 10, 15 minutes, but they took 2 hours as the sheriffs sat there patiently waiting and watching to escort them out of the campground. Now the children and their behavior and their actions was a big topic of the witnesses' statements about what had happened. He kind of really talks down about the homeschooling and children raised in RVs, in the RV full-time life. Yeah, he has some pretty strong opinions, and he says exactly what's on his mind.
Tell you what, I'd never heard of this group before, and after witnessing what I've witnessed from the kids that are being raised in these RVs, man, I used to think I was a bit of an advocate for homeschooling. Not if this is the product. I have never seen so many unruly kids who are completely 100% socially inept.
Now, our witness, he also has a totally different story and take on what happened right before they left. As we just saw, they did stop and they turned in their parking pass. Well, according to our onlooker, it didn't go so smoothly and calmly. The other guy, he went and gathered up the parking pass from RV Miles and turned it in to our camp host. Then, apparently, the F-bombs went and everything went crazy, and yeah, it was just not so pleasant. And according to our witness, they didn't just get escorted out of the camp. They got escorted out of the county.
They get in, followed by the deputies out, because they not only escorted them out of the park, they escorted them out of the county. They told them they are going to leave the county because of the way they treated the sheriff's deputies. So they leave, and when they get up to the office, they stop. And the other one, not the guy who got the package, got out of his truck and took his car pass. When you're here, you got to have a car pass and you're on your mirror. And he went and got the other guy's car pass, and he took them over and handed them to the manager. Now, the manager and his wife were sitting in the shade of a tree at a picnic table with another couple that was camping here with their daughter, their young daughter. So the 5 of them are there. He walks over to the manager, and he hands these to the manager and said, "Here, you may need these." And Tom said, "Thank you very much. We hope you guys have safe travels." And the guy turned around, and he took about 3 steps, and he turned back, and in as loud a voice as you can muster, said, "F*** you." Got in his truck, and they took off.
And you may think that this is where the story ends. We have RV Miles's side. Now we have an onlooker or a witness, if you will, from the campground. But RV Miles has a rebuttal. And let me tell you this, his wife, she is not happy at all.
That full-time families does not deserve the sort of hate that was thrown at them last night on this show. They are an incredibly beautiful and generous organization that was so kind to us in some of our darkest moments last year. The homeschool community that I grew up in, I am a graduated homeschooler. I homeschool my children. The homeschool community is a beautiful community. They do not deserve to be dragged through the mud like they were dragged through last night.
Now, RV Miles, they do admit that they broke the rule, but they think that it was a little bit excessive. They also expressed that, they were told that they had been sat down and talked to about their kids' behavior and some other things. They said that they were only there for 2 days, and one of those days was they were out exploring, doing things. So a lot of this stuff didn't happen. They say that their travel friend or neighbor or whatever, the other guy, that he's a nice guy. There was no big issue. He did get a little bit irate. They said he did drop the F-bomb, but he apologized. He didn't go off on a tirade like they said. They claim that he never grabbed them, never spat at them, or any of those things. They also say that they do have in the info section of their video, and I will put a link to all the videos that I am referring to. There will be a link in my info section, but in their info section, there is a little thing of, I guess, the account of the sheriff's office or the police or whoever was involved. So do feel free to go down there and read that and see what that account is. Now, it is not in police report form. I don't know how if they transcribed it or whatever, or if I don't know how it got that way, but it is not in police report form. They did go on also to say to all of their followers and supporters, please do not call and harass or go onto any websites and leave bad reviews or anything like that. They do discourage that behavior. So once again, I will leave links to all these videos, channels that I am referring to, and I encourage you to go over and take a watch, have a listen, and I would like your comments below. What do you think? Do you think the RV Miles story is correct? Do you think the account of the witness, the onlooker, is correct? Do you think the other guy should have just stayed out of it and maybe things would have not been so bad? I don't know. I'd like to hear what you think. And now I'll tell you what I think of this situation. Now, my personal opinion is there's always three sides to every story. There's their side, there's their side, and somewhere in the middle there, it may lean one way or the other, but somewhere in the middle lies the truth. And I take no exception now. I think that is exactly what is going on. Were the kids unruly and wild and crazy like stated by the campground side? I don't think so. Kids are kids. Maybe this is one of those older folks that mainly stay there, and they do have some full-time people there that stay there. So yeah, they probably are annoyed by children. But were the children acting outrageous or over the top? My opinion, no. I wasn't there, but from what I gather, they were just probably being kids and annoying the other folks. Was the other guy a little bit angry and unruly? I believe so. I believe he went over the top. I personally believe that if the RV Miles family would have just, went up and said, hey, I understand I broke the rules, but isn't it a little excessive to, throw us out? I'm sorry. It was a computer. I really needed it for whatever. It wasn't like it was just a menial thing. It was a computer. I really needed it. And I know, I understand. I won't, but can't we do something? I think things would have worked out. I think they would have been able to stay, and I think things would have been okay. I believe, or I would like to believe. But once the other guy got involved, I think that's where everything went downhill. I could be wrong, because it could have been, again, this older campground situation where they just didn't want the kids and everything there anyway. So I don't know, but I like to believe that it wouldn't have got this out of hand. Now, again, this is kind of the end of the story, but there's one more side where RV Show USA called the campground back, and there's a lady. She's on the phone, and she is expressing her angst. Her anxiety is on. I mean, she's just being pestered. The phone is ringing. She says it won't stop ringing, and people were cussing and telling her off and saying all kinds of nasty things.
Yeah, the calls are relentless and they're horrible, nasty
Are
stuff.
people are people they're calling to just yell at you or what?
Oh yeah, and here's the phone. That's people calling. Yeah, and they call us dirty names and F you, and yeah, it's just awful.
Oh my God! Well,
It's horrible, and it's just it's just the people that were. It wasn't at all what had happened, what they said, but people are like that, and the emails incessant. I mean, there's just lots and lots and lots of bad emails, and
So there you have it. A very intense, a very interesting story. Started out with a package delivery and ended up in chaos. Now I do have to sympathize a bit with the Campground because you know how it can be on social media. Anybody that's a creator or does anything on social media, you know that one little thing, one little misstep or whatever, and people can just go crazy. So I can sympathize because I know that it's probably very true that they're probably getting all kinds of calls and hate emails, and they're probably getting disgusting reviews and all kinds of other things. I'm not saying that RV Miles or anybody else encouraged this. It's just that's what people do nowadays, unfortunately. All right, so as far as this story is concerned, let's call it over. But we do have another one. It's a similar one. Similar. Not the same, but similar. This one involves Enjoy the Journey Life. Now, those folks, they got themselves mixed up in the park with an HOA. That's right, a homeowners association. And we know how horrible that can be. But we don't have time for all that now. We'll get into that next video. Thanks for watching. This is BlindViews, and that's the way I see it.
What we do here is go back.